Guys. So I was at the airport the other day and I thought to myself, when I started flying, I have no idea how to or what to do when I got to the airport. Do you pull up to the terminal? Do you just get out? Are there fuel trucks that just arrive and help you out? What do you do? I have no idea. So I kind of thought it would be a good idea to put a little something together for all the stuff that I've learned throughout my trials and tribulations as a pilot, trying to figure out the ins and outs and what to do, what not to do, and how to do it. So basically, today we're going to talk about fixed based operator and FBO. I'm sure everybody who's already a pilot knows quite about quite a bit about these little places in the airport. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's many. Basically, I want to just impart some of my knowledge to you to make your guys' experience at an airport a whole lot easier, better, faster, quicker, stronger, so on and so forth. So I put together a little PowerPoint because I know how much everybody loves PowerPoint. The FBO NDU. Tips and tricks for a great experience. So basically the first thing you should start out doing is pretty much telling people what an FBO is, right? So a fixed base operator is pretty much a business, right? They're there for money, and they're granted the right to be a business and to be located at the airport by the airport, and that could be county, local authority, municipalities, state, so on and so forth. Basically, the people who run and own the airport give authorization to these businesses to plop down and sell their wares and make money. Some of the main areas that these fixed base operators gain revenue from are transportation services, fuel services, parking if you park your aircraft overnight. Some even offer custom services. Food is always great. And then, of course, everybody's FBO's bread and butter there, the mechanical services by AMPs or so on and so forth. So a lot of FBOs out there will have one or more of these. Almost all will have either fuel or mechanical services. And then, as the larger FBOs come and go, they'll offer more and more services, especially in higher populated areas, or one of the main drivers is large jet traffic or transient business traffic. Everybody's trying to lure them in by using little things like this. So FBOs can range greatly in size and complexity, or complexity. There we go. I got that. All the way from your very large, like the upper left there, FBOs that offer all types of services, even sometimes limo services. In the case of Teterboro, where they actually come out in a limousine, pick you up, and drive you the 4 feet to the actual FBO. And yes, FBOs, some of them have music playing, and it just gets ridiculous really quick. All the way down to your little tiny FBOs, which sometimes are mere trailers in a town. Now, regardless of the size, some can be great, some can be not so great. It all just depends on your experience and who's there and how the FBO is actually operated. It's important to know how to find these things. A lot of times we have the electronic books here, like 4Flight or the Garmin suite of software. Easiest thing to do is to look at the airport diagram, however you get it, and it will be clearly marked in most cases. In some cases, they'll just have the FBO designation, but in all cases, they will be marked in one way or another. Also, you want to make sure that you know where you're going before you actually land in an airport. So again, preparation is key to this. But in all the airport diagrams out there, regardless if you're using paper or if you're using electronic flight books, we'll have the FBOs called out. So there's a few main points that I want to touch on here before you actually arrive at the airport and visit your FBO. When you arrive, what you do there, kind of how to handle things, and before you get out of town, before you depart. So the first part there is actually before you arrive, and preparation is key whenever you're flying. So the more you prep for your flight, the more you'll get out of your experience with a FBO. A few things there, little charges add up. Again, FBOs are businesses. They're out to make money, and that's not a bad thing. It's just what they do. They're a business, right? So there's a ton of them out there, as is there's a ton of airports. So you want to really look into um, key fuel. How much does the fuel cost? If you're running a jet, um, fuel discounts are rampant, so you want to make sure you get the best price for your fuel. If you're running avgas or mogas, those prices just are as wild as can be. I know that within a 100 nautical mile square radius, you're looking at a difference of possibly $4 per gallon, and that's the difference. So fuel is important if you want to save money on flying. It's all the same fuel, so you want to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. Ramp fee. It's pretty important. If you pull up into an airport, say hi to everybody, they're going to expect a fee just for landing. So you might want to check into that, see how much it costs. I know a lot of the larger airports don't necessarily appreciate the smaller traffic coming in, meaning the smaller aircraft. So what they do is they try to impose larger fees just to land at that airport. So you might want to check that out. Also, you want to know, where is my airport and where is my FBO? Again, kind of related to the last slide there, where am I flying to? What do I want to do when I get there? Do I need a larger FBO? Do I need a lot of those services? Or am I just trying to fly around, see what's going on, meet new people, do new things? And that doesn't really matter. However, it does matter to pre-plan and make sure you're flying into the right airport and right FBO for what you are intending to do. Big or small, there's benefits to both. You have the larger airports with usually the larger FBOs, and then you have the smaller airports in quaint little towns and cities, which are absolutely amazing. So the larger airports, especially when you go up to north or if you go into larger cities, they're going to wine and dine and charge you out the wazoo. It's a great experience if you're trying to impress someone or you need those services. However, if you're just flying around, you need a little bit better deal on gas. If you're just looking to stretch your legs, the smaller airports are the way to go. I noticed that flying around, that a lot of these smaller airports are hidden gems because there's not a lot of traffic, the gas is a lot less expensive, and usually you're one of the only people there. So you have the run of the land, basically. If you need to take your time on the computer, or if you need to do some flight planning, you don't have to fight over the materials that are there. There's no lines, so on and so forth. You're not waiting around for fuel. You get the point. Reviews are a big deal. Reviews are everywhere. In your electronic flight book, if you look in Sky Vector, so on and so forth, all the regular spots there have reviews for FBOs. And a lot of times those reviews are spot on. They'll tell you, from past experiences, that you don't have to relive the good, the bad, the ugly, unless you choose to. It's the greatest thing in the world to have the internet and to have the ability to go on and see what's going on with it. A big thing that I've run into are Uber, Lyfts, taxis, basically transportation services. I can't stress this enough. Check the availability. I know that I was flying into a medium-sized airport once in Kentucky, and they didn't have Uber, they didn't have Lyft, and they had one taxi. and the taxi driver gave us an estimated time of about 2 hours. So make sure they're available. Use the tools that you have. So if you have Uber, make sure that you pre-plan and move your little dot over to the airport you're intending to fly into and see if there's any Ubers going around. Check the taxis, the local taxis. A lot of times, I don't want to stress flight, a lot of the flight software out there or even online will tell you if they have taxi services. Airport directories are great. Sometimes they have information regarding that. They'll have comments or services provided, so take a look at that. Check it out. I can't stress it enough. If you fly 5 hours to an airport with no way to get around the city, you're stuck at that airport. Or you have to fly to another airport, and that just chews away your time. Nobody wants to know that. Rentals are another big thing as far as transportation is concerned. Make sure they have them. And as a courtesy, let them know you're coming. I fell in that bracket once. I'll admit it. I'm a horrible person for it, but to be honest with you, it was just kind of a trip that I didn't really plan too far in advance, and I thought, you know what would be great? Get a rental car. Why not? Well, sure enough, they were able to pull something together and get the Enterprise guy over there, but I felt like a heel, and to be honest with you, it would have been a better experience for everybody involved if I would have just called ahead and let them know that I was coming. And that means two things. Number one, call a couple days in advance if you've got the time. Tell them you're coming in and you need a car. That way you get kind of the pick of the litter there. And number two, when you're actually about 10 miles out or so and you're already in radio distance, communicating with the traffic or these are, of course, are uncontrolled airports that you're flying into in this instance. Let Unicom know that you're 10 miles out and you're coming in, and just give them a heads up. It's always a nice thing to do. Of course, there's factors involved with that if you have other traffic and if you're in sequence and so on and so forth. You're a pilot. You know what the best thing to do is for the situation. Just time and space permitting there. So when you actually arrive at the FBO, you probably want to do a few things. Stretch your legs, kind of take your time. I strongly recommend taking your time. No reason rushing. I know a lot of times people are excited to get out of that plane, especially you've been cramped up there for a few hours or whatnot, and you just want to run. Especially if you hit your final destination, you just want to get your stuff and go. But take a minute, take a breather. Know that you made it and that you're there safe. You could have been coming through some nasty stuff, so appreciate the fact that you're on the ground and you're good to go. Look around the airport, see what they have, verify the spots. If they said they have fuel, make sure you know where the fuel is, so on and so forth. I'm going to skip ahead there to the fuel your plane part because that's usually one of the first things that the attendants of the FBO ask. I know whenever I come in, I'm usually greeted by someone working at the airport. Sometimes not. Sometimes I have to either go inside, or other times I'm the only one there and it's just a self-service type thing if they even have fuel at all. But I'm going to stress this point as much as I possibly can. With fuel, be present. I know there have been horror stories, and I've got horror stories myself, but be there while the attendant's there. Be there to fuel your plane when you land. Don't try to do it before you go. Don't try to call up in the middle of your trip and say, oh yeah, hey, I'll be there Thursday, put fuel in my plane for me. That would be great. Appreciate it. Peace out. Don't do that. When you land, gather yourself, breathe, so on and so forth, and either fuel your plane yourself, just pull right in there and get it yourself if you want to do self-serve. Sometimes you save a couple bucks if you do self-serve. Yes, the prices are different in some airports. Or if the attendant's going to do it for you, be present. Fuel your plane as soon as you get to the airport. What that does is, if you fuel your own plane, you save money. You guarantee, well, you don't guarantee anything in aviation, but you have a better probability of not having moisture in the tanks when you come back. Nothing worse in the world than landing on almost empties and coming back to fuel your plane and you discover you got water in your tank from condensation, especially in altitudes and so on and so forth. So being there, if you do it yourself, you know that you're not going to overfill or overweight your plane. I know that I was stuck in an airport literally waiting for buckets of fuel to leave my tank. So I actually jumped in there and tapped the tanks myself and helped out, and it was ridiculous. You get fuel all over you and so on and so forth. And a lot of you, I know you're doing it, will go in and ride those margins of weight. It is not worth it. So make sure that you're fueling it to the correct specs and the right weight. Also, another big thing is the picture to the right, the upper right there, the 3 tanks. Those pretty much look the same, right? They have a little sticker to the left that says Jet A, and probably one is Avgas and MoGas. Probably have 2 jet blends, but basically, it doesn't matter what you fly. There is going to be an attendant out there, bless the little souls, as the Southerners would say, that will try to force Jet A in your plane when it takes 100 LL. It will happen. So be there. Always be there. It will save your plane. It will save so much money. It will save you from being grounded, so on and so forth. I'm going to stop. So when you get there, talk to other pilots that are around. They know what's going on. They've seen stuff. They can tell you about airspace issues, so on and so forth. It's good to chat it up. They'll also tell you, hey, don't let Johnny move the plane because he already wrecked 3 of them. You get the point. Other pilots know what's going on, and you communicate them better than anybody else at that airport. Another big thing is a lot of states are starting to adopt stamps or passport programs, which are pretty cool. So make sure you get your stamps and your passports. That's a program to help with the local FBOs, and I'm saying local as in state FBOs, to increase traffic to their airports. It's a great program. There's usually awards or stuff like that that are included in there. So pretty neat. If they have it, check it out. Make sure you get your stamps. Check with your state. See what's going on. I know Virginia, North Carolina, and quite a few other states actually have similar programs. Talk to the people that actually work there. Kind of makes sense, right? Be nice. Be a good person. Believe it or not, they can help you out a lot. You get choice parking. You get the benefit of possibly having your airplane in a hangar that's unused, or one that's in the maintenance bay that you can store your plane in, a space that is. They'll even tell you about local airspace issues, so on and so forth. The people that work there are great because some of them are pilots, some of them don't know anything. You'll weed those out. Take the aeronautical information from the pilots that are also crew. Take the land-based stuff from the ones that are not pilots. You'll see what I'm talking about. You'll know what I'm talking about for the ones that have landed at FBOs and have talked to the staff. Just make sure you talk to everybody. Be a nice person. They'll tell you restaurants. They'll tell you places to go. They'll give you a choice. I know I land quite often at one place that's known for their food around town. Everybody loves to land there and grab the crew car, right? And I'm always nice to these guys, and they always suddenly have a car that's available. I don't know how it works, but even if you don't get any type of extras, air quotes, still be a nice guy. It's totally worth it. Why not? Makes everybody happy. Everything's good. Everything's merry in the world when you're nice to that other person. Now, kind of touching on the crew car, if you use one, don't be a slob. Come on, guys and girls. Like, don't throw Cheeto bags in the back seat, so on and so forth. You're sharing this with everybody else. It's just an amenity of the FBO. It's something that they don't necessarily have to do at all. So be a polite pilot and make sure that the crew car is picked up. Maybe put a couple gallons of gas in there. A lot of times they have a little donation jar, a couple cents, $1, it goes a long way, right? And another one quick thing on that is don't take the crew car for 4 hours. You know who you are. All right. So before you depart, there's a few things. Ensure that you're actually ready to get out of there, right? So in the hotel or wherever you may be, if you're staying overnight or whatnot, take your time. Plan everything out as you planned before on how to get there. Leaving's just as important as getting there. I know a lot of times people just want to get out so bad they don't think of all the things that they should be doing. A lot of times you get extra weight. Weight's a huge issue as a pilot and on a plane. You know, you go out, you buy a bunch of junk on a vacation or whatnot, or you get wet clothes if you go to the beach, you got extra sand, you get the point. You need to account for that extra weight. You need to distribute it correctly. You can't just throw a bunch of stuff you bought at a local market in the back and hope for the best. So you need to always have that in the back of your head. Call ahead. This is a great idea that hardly nobody does. It's really weird, I've noticed. So, you know, you're about an hour out from getting to the airport. Just call the FBO. Say, hey, this is so-and-so. I'm getting ready to depart in about an hour or so, and just wanted to make sure everything's good to go. You'd be surprised. I've had to sit and wait until some guy would take my plane out of a hangar, which is awesome. They put it in a hangar because they suddenly found spot, but it was behind 15 other planes. You get the point. Calling ahead makes a difference. Plus, it gives them a heads up. They can also tell you if something crazy happened at the airport. It's always a good idea. Pay your tab. Don't just run away. It's kind of important. Again, it's a business, and a lot of these smaller ones, you know, that fuel that's in your plane, you know, that's a big ding to their bottom line if you just run off and forget. Honestly, I mean, it's easy to forget. A lot of times you have that gate, you just jump in there, you forgot that you fueled up, you're halfway in the air, and you're like, oh crap. You get the point on this one, right? Pay your tab. Make sure all debts are settled. Lastly, thank the staff. I know a lot of people just go in and, you know, do their thing, get in and out, but thanking the staff goes a long way. I have not worked at an FBO. I have no affiliation towards one FBO or another, but I know that they're working hard just like everyone else, right? So they provide a service. They're in a service industry. Say thanks. Appreciate it. Goes a long way. If you had a really good time, they really helped you out, send a letter. You would be amazed how far that goes. I still have one FBO I sent a letter to. They still thank me, and it's been like years. And this is the big one. If you have an FBO that you constantly go to, or if you're based out of, or they do just something out of the ballpark amazing, order pizza. It's a huge deal. It's a big deal. They will love you forever. It's a show of appreciation. It's awesome. I know it sounds simple, but Papa John's, it's $20 for a couple large pizzas, something to that effect. I don't know. Just hit the order button when you're in the air. Make sure you leave some type of note that says they're not expecting it. Make sure, you know. And it's an amazing thing when, you know, you get a call from an FBO manager that says, thanks, man. You guys really appreciate it. One dude didn't have a lunch and it just made his day. Just saying. Alright, so I've talked long enough here. Here's some wrap-up stuff. Arrivals, plan ahead. Come on, people. Don't get so excited you just jump in your plane. Always remember to plan. Call ahead. Make sure you know, or make sure the FBO knows you're coming, especially for overnights. Don't just expect them to have spaces where you can park your plane. Sometimes, if things get busy, like a fly-in or something to that effect, it's all covered. It's done. You can't land there. Well, you can land there, but your plane won't have a home for the night or however long you're going to be there. So plan ahead, call ahead, be ahead. I kind of like that slogan. There you Once you're at the airport, be an airport superhero. Seriously, be nice to people. Talk to people. You'll get a ton out of it. They will get a ton out of it. Everything will be good in the world. And departures. Know your stuff. Again, plan, plan, plan. Thank yous go an extremely long way. It's really important to plan as much as you planned when you before you left and you actually arrived at the FBO. Even if it's a short bit of time before you actually leave. I know I fly all around, right? I'm only at an FBO for a matter of minutes. However, I want to make sure that the weather and so on and so forth has not changed, because it's a lot easier to figure that on the ground than in the air. And if you're airport hopping and you're 6 in, that original forecast isn't going to be the same, right? So make sure you plan, make sure you know where you're going. And as always say, be safe out there. We're all in this together.